Hi, I'm Roberta. Welcome to my kitchen. We're working our way through the Thai kitchen basics, and now we're going to render pork fat. Why would we render pork fat when we can go to the supermarket or even the butcher and buy some already rendered lard? This one is well and truly worth doing because when we render our own pork fat, we get those lovely little crunchy porky bits that in English we call scratchings. And pork scratchings are the treat you get for rendering your own pork fat. Now you can buy pork back fat from most butchers, certainly from Asian butchers. You just want to give it a little wash under cold water, pat it dry, and then we're going to chop it up just as finely as our knife skills permit. Now slow and steady, we're going to get it into a nice little dice, pop it into the saucepan with some salt and some water, and then I'll show you what happens next. So slow and steady is the answer because by its very nature this fat is quite slippery and you've already washed it, so that makes it just that little bit more slippery. So do take care. Do start with a good sharp knife. Now this is one where I want you to measure the salt. We want a good teaspoon of salt in there. And now I'm just going to cover it with water. It's a little bit like making caramel. We can add as much water as we want, but nothing's really going to happen until that water evaporates. So just enough water to cover it, pop it on, and let's see what happens on the stove. So we just want to bring that to a boil, and not much is going to happen until that water evaporates. Now you don't really need to stir it at this stage, but if you do stir it, make sure you have another dry wooden spoon to use once all the water's gone, and I'll explain why in a minute. Now this is an important safety tip. See how that's bubbling? There's still a little bit of water left, but mostly oil. Watch what happens when I put the spoon in. See how it really agitates the oil? That's because there's some water on this spoon. So please be very careful when you're doing this, otherwise it could boil over. So you can see that there's still a tiny bit of water left, but most of it's gone now. So I've just turned the heat down to about just beyond medium. We want it still bubbling vigorously because we want to get rid of all of that water. Now I'm not sure if you can hear the difference. I can. And you can also see the difference in the bubbling. So I'm going in with my dry spoon now, and look, even the residual moisture in that is causing a little bit of hissing. So do take care. But the milky liquid is starting to clear. The sound is different and the nature of the bubbling is different. So now we turn our heat down to medium, and we want to stir it fairly regularly because now we want to extract all of the fat that we can from those bits of pork, and we want them to turn into gorgeous golden scratchings. Look at that now. It's totally different, and do take care because it can spit just a little bit, especially when you put the spoon in. So if you're finding you're getting too much spitting with your spoon, it might be easier to use a metal spoon. Just be aware and you'll be fine. Now, as our scratchings start to turn golden, it's time to add a few aromats. A little bit of ginger, a little bit of galangal, just to clean up some of that porkiness. And we want to keep cooking it for a few more minutes until those scratchings are well and truly golden. So I've turned that right down to a relatively low heat, and after a few more minutes you can see our scratchings are nice and golden. It's still foaming, partly because of the ginger and galangal I've added. I'll take them just a tiny bit further, but I certainly don't want to burn them. I just want them golden and crunchy. So here we have our gorgeous golden pork scratchings. How lucky are we to get so much from the pig? Not just his lard, but these beautiful scratchings as well. Give that a good shake. We don't want to keep these bits of galangal and ginger. They're not going to taste very nice. They've done their job, so we can get rid of them. And we can pop our scratchings out onto some paper towel to drain. Now, if you don't eat pork, any of the recipes that call for pork lard, you can use either vegetable oil or that beautiful perfumed oil from deep frying your garlic and shallots. So I want you to hang on to that because that's fabulous for stir frying, for dressing, for marinating, for all sorts of things. So you don't have to use the lard and you certainly don't have to use the scratchings, but if you do like pork, these scratchings just are the yummiest snack. We're going to sprinkle some over our noodle dish. You can sprinkle them over salads. You know, they're made in Europe as well as Asia. My Swiss husband calls them Griebenschmalz and says they're the best thing ever on a sandwich. So I'll leave it up to you what you do with your scratchings. We've got our beautiful rendered lard. We've got our beautiful scratchings. They are really Moorish. Enjoy.